like you said to me, I don't know if I'm going to be able to not cry. I was in the military, I was in, what's that?
We got lots of tissues. Right here, so I cry.
I was in the military. I remember I didn't go to church a lot when I was a kid. I had a Catholic family, but I went to weddings, I went to funerals, I went to my best cousin that's 2 weeks younger than me. We were like best friends growing up, and he was an older boy, so I would go by myself and sit and wait for him to be done so we can go play. But when I went to boot camp, you're away from home and you're scared, and they allow you to go to church on Sunday. You can pick different. I didn't even understand there was different denominations and stuff. And some buddies just said, "Let's go to the Baptist one." And so you go, and I just remember having that feeling. And sure, I was a little homesick, but at the same time, everyone's crying. And I remember having that feeling, and I feel like every time I've been in church the rest of my life, and my relationship with my proper relationship just started several years ago. But throughout my life, at weddings and whatever I might be, I just always got there's something grabbing me. It always was. Now I know what it is. But you get these feelings, and he tells you things, and I had to study apologetics. I struggled with God, and I've prayed every night of my life, and He's always been there. But then at the same time, I could have a conversation with you later and say, "I'm not so sure about this Jesus guy, and I don't know if I believe in God, and how can He create this whole universe? How can He let all these bad things happen?" And my own understanding. And there was a time where I said, "Well, how much knowledge do you have?" And not a lot. So I said, "I need to seek the knowledge, find out. I need to know. This is an important decision." And today, just sitting here, and I enjoy studying that stuff, and I feel like I could talk to anybody about it, but I was almost ashamed that I needed it. Because you can just come here. And when you're worshiping, this is, and I didn't know this, I didn't learn this, but this is when God comes here.
Come on.
When the doors are closed, He don't have an office back there and He's sitting with His feet up, right? But when you guys walk in, and thank you for having us here. This is what I felt. This is what I feel when I'm sitting here. And I felt a little bit ashamed that I enjoy those things, and I don't think they're wrong, but at the same time, you can just look at the world. You can look at the universe. You can come to church and see people worshiping and know that there's a God. Like, it's all you need. It's kind of simple. Right? He said, "Keep it simple." I'm going to try. I almost want to skip this part, but I'm going to do it one more time in my life. I've had to speak several times in the last couple of years. God's brought us into something. He started all this. And I flunked high school because I would not speak in front of people. I had one English class. Neat sign. I had one English class, and you had to speak, and I would not. I did not do one report, and I hated it that bad. And the teacher actually allowed me to do one. She said, "You do one speech, I'll pass you." And I actually did one speech. I did it on hockey. I played hockey. I'm like, I'll speak about something I know. But she didn't pass me anyway. And I didn't deserve it because I didn't do nothing all year. So I had to go to summer school to graduate. I never flunked a grade, but finally, 12th grade, because I didn't want to speak. And then I joined the military, and right away, my supervisor would say, you need to do extra things and stuff. They like to get your reports to be good, and he had me start being a CPR teacher and a first aid teacher. I don't know nothing about this stuff. I've never had this. I flunked health class too, and they taught us CPR there. But so I had to teach this stuff, and you watch a video, and then they're gonna go teach people. And I might have had a stripe, and these guys I'm teaching, they have to certify every year, and they're colonels. You might not know the military, but everyone knows the colonels up there, higher ranking guys than me. And I'm teaching them something that they know better than me.
Come on.
And I'm like, I'm just gonna stick to the video, and I was scared to death. And so I called Pastor Brian the other day, Kelly and I did. He asked us to do this, and my fear, and am I qualified? How long have you all, not all of you, but many of you have had a relationship with God for a long time. I'm like, how am I going to talk to these people? But as we see, and the reason I'm here and the reason all this is happening, because since I started my relationship years ago, he puts you in things. He don't ask your permission.
Right.
I wish he did. And you know why he doesn't? If he told me I would be here right this moment, I would have said you were crazy. Or if he told me I was going to be doing this stuff, and then, Mike, would you like to say yes or no? A long time ago, my answer just would have been no way. Now we're getting to where we say yes to him all the time, and he just keeps putting me in these positions, And but he puts things in your heart, and that's where you're qualified, I guess.
Yeah. That's it.
So I have 3 things. Man, I'm gonna try. I'm not a crier, but it seems like when I'm in church, I'm a crier, in my old days, if you wanted to get in the boxing ring with me or something, I'll take you. But I'm sorry, I'll try not to do too much. But I just have 3 things that are most important to me. And it was when I learned the word agape, and it was the first time I ever heard Luke 6:32, and it was when I learned about being chosen. And that's the one, if I ramble for too long here, maybe we won't get to that one. I'm sorry. That's why. So Luke 6:32, the first time I ever heard it was when I was not necessarily a believer or a proper Christian. And I was probably drinking. I knew it was the middle of the night, and I was watching TV, and I opened my eyes, and the Passion of the Christ was on, which I haven't watched at the time. I've always been fascinated with Jesus. I just did not have a proper relationship. I didn't learn what I was watching, and I wasn't taught. But he's been grabbing me all my life, and he finally got me. So I opened my eyes, and they have the words on the screen, and it says, "But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Or even sinners love those who love them." And that is the first time I ever understood something in my life. When I went to church, I've always said that. I heard Charlie Brown's parents is what I would hear. I just walk. That's, well, I don't know if I made the deed or what, but I could. And I understood that. I read it, and I was like, wow, this is what's wrong with the world. Like, as I read it, I'm like, what? How does no one not understand that you can't just love the people who love you? And, so that stuck with me my whole life, and it took till years ago. I've read it thousands of times, and I'm not good at remembering numbers. And I would say in the last couple of weeks, I remember exactly which number the verse. It is. But that's the verse that's always stuck with me, and then how's my life start going from there? So how we became the agape center. Kelly and I have always been helpers. I grew up. If you were moving, I was the guy you were going to ask to move because you knew you were going to get a yes. You know, I don't know if it's I just don't know how to say no, or just things. You know, it doesn't bother me to do things when people ask. And Kelly has a heart that just, when someone needs help, she wants to. She's in action, you know, and she's smart and knows how to do things. And I wouldn't even know what to do, some of the things she does. But, so she started the What's Happening in White Oak Facebook page. And when we moved here 8 years ago, and at the time I was like, that Facebook stuff, you know, you're always wanting on there, why are you making these sites? And as the years went by, she's a big poster on there, and just people got to know her name. And people get on there and ask for things. Just, I need a chair. You know where I need a chair, and she would help. And sometimes people would message her. I guess once they realized she would do things for people that they needed food. You know, and I would come home from work, and these are just individual instances sometimes. I would come home from work, and they'd be like, "These people, can you believe it? Like their son just got killed. He lives in McKeesport, and they have no food. If they're moving in with their grandma, they don't even know the dad, and they have no food. And I emptied the freezer. I got these bags. Let's go." And I always tell this story because like this has happened many times, but I think of a particular day where I went shopping, and I bought pork chops. And I went to work, and I was like, we're having them pork chops tonight. Yeah. I'm a big eater. And I was all excited to come home, and that was one of the days she had the bag. You know, like, so that's the pork chops, okay? I'm like, that was fine, but I'm like, are we still going to get some more pork chops? Am I still eating pork chops or not? And I don't know if I did or not. So, people would just know that she's going to help. And in March of 2020, COVID started happening, but it wasn't necessarily because of it, but I'm trying to think. It was around Easter. And people didn't have Easter food. And Kelly bought some things and said, we're going to take some people some Easter dinners. And I think it was Bridge City Church. We belong to Bridge City now, but at the time they had a food drive, and they knew about what's happening in White Oak, and they said, we did our food distribution and we have a lot of extra food. Can you get rid of it? And this is, I'm telling the small stories, but something like this has happened many times with Kelly. But this was a big one now. And she's like, yes. So she just said on Facebook, who needs food? And people responded. People sent tons of messages in. And this is when COVID was happening now. But old people that can't drive, and people with COVID that can't go out, and people at the time, if you remember, like if you walk past somebody with COVID, you better isolate for the next 5 weeks. Like there was rules in place, and so people were stuck. So we had a whole full list, and we distributed all the food. It was all gone. It was like, all right, cool, we did our thing. And people started commenting on that post, like, hey, I would like to give some. They were acting like we were a food bank already. Like, it was like, here, I want to bring some stuff. Where are you guys at? And a lot of people did not even ask. They found out where we lived and immediately just started throwing things on our porch. And I would come home from work and there'd be green beans this high, except for our name this high. And so people just came to us. And it went from that week to the next week to just, we had plenty of food. My garage was this to the ceiling with food. You couldn't walk safely in there, like it was, you're walking through the house and stuff. And I wouldn't let anyone else go in there because I'm like, I'll go in case everything falls, at least I'm taller than it. So then now people just kept giving us their addresses and telling us their stories and saying what they need. And sometimes, so now it seemed like, hey, they're counting on us for this stuff. And we'd start getting low, and we felt bad asking for people all the time. But we would ask, it's like, okay, we're not going to have enough, so what do we do? Stop doing this? Or do we keep going and try? So we put another message out. Can we have some donations? And people just started bringing more stuff. And we made new friends, and we had contacts, and then people that could get other things, and they could get bread and fruit, and there was, I remember, Doyle and I had, my garage was full of Doyle lemons. I had lemons this high, and mushrooms. But it just kept going, and every week people kept contacting us, and now we're months into it, summertime maybe, and the next thing you know, like people, like Pastor Brian is calling us. And like I said, I've never been to church. I'm several years into studying my Bible, and I am a Christian by this time. In 2018, I got baptized, which is a whole other funny story. But I went to a church that I've never, Ridge City, I've never been there, never met a person in it in my life, but had some things lead up to saying, you need to go there and get baptized, and I went. And I don't like being in front of people, and I just did it. In front of, it was for the boys mostly to show humility and things like that. But, see, now I got off topic because I lost where I was. I'm sorry. Summertime. Pastor Brian called us and wanted to meet with us and come in. So we're doing our thing, and you can tell it's becoming something. But I don't know what. Make sure I come back to Pastor Brian, because this is important. Because when we started this, a couple years before that, we talked about doing a nonprofit. Our grandmother used to do a lot of things, and we did paperwork to start towards doing a nonprofit, but we weren't one. We didn't have a name or anything, and we were mailing something that was very important to that at the post office in White. I don't know if any of you know, we became that post office. Well, her cousin cuts hair there and came running outside and said, "You guys should try this." And we were like, "Wow!" And then on the door it said post office makes $1,200 a month. The bills are $1,000, something like that. And she needed an office to do her marketing things, so that's how we ended up in the post office. And then, and that's how we ended up. We worked out of that building, and just things were falling into place. We have a building. We're not always using my garage, and then Pastor Brian comes and wants to work with us, and that's where that was the beginning of like where am I right now? Which is kind of how I felt when I walked up here. I'm sitting here and saying, where am I right now? If I looked at my life, coming back. I can't believe I'm here.
Come on.
Every time I'm in church, I look at the people here. We have friends here that I know now. And when I go to Bridge City, I know people. And a week ago, I told one of them, man, I just see you people. I see the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, what am I doing here? He put me here there. And that's all I tried to fight it. You know what I mean? I don't know what he wants from me. But he wouldn't let me not be here. And he didn't bring me this far just to go this far. And I don't know what's coming, but so it's blowing my mind that a pastor's coming and wanting to talk to us. And Kelly's telling me, we need to meet this pastor. I'm like, we can't be meeting pastors. I'm not even qualified to talk to him. All I know is Father Steller from Hazelwood, St. Stephen's. That's the only, that's all I've ever known. And he was mean. He's kind of cool. He was cool. And now the mayor of McKeesport is, we want to do something with you. We want to, we went to Crawford and had outreaches there, and he's brought police and set up, he unloaded food off of our truck. And political or not, he's there doing the work, isn't he? And long story short, the post office didn't work. We ended up in the other building. We didn't want to do the post office anymore, but people come to us all the time. Hey, I want you in my building for real cheap. We still have the contract. It's like, we can use this building. And that's how we ended up at the other post office. And all the restaurants and all that. That's a whole other thing too. We're running the Agape Center. We have a building, but we want more building. That's not enough building. And to keep going, that's where I'm like, where's my life? Not long ago, we were trying to buy a school. Mike Doyle, regular Mike Doyle. I wish you knew how regular Mike Doyle was. If you knew me years, well, I'm nothing special now, but I'm regular Mike Doyle. The Doyles are trying to buy a school. And we have a nonprofit with a name. I better get to the other stuff. I'm sorry. But senators, state representatives are in my store having a meeting with us. We don't, we do call some of them now that we have numbers. We bother them, like, hey, we need help. But they came to us. Some of them were just checking in on us, saying, like, what are they all about? But others wanted to help. TV, newspapers, magazines. These are not Mike Doyle things. Mike Doyle I like sitting on my couch. Petting the dog, that's what I enjoyed. And then God came into my life and said, that's not what I have for you to do. And we say, okay, that's good. And I think we always would have said, okay. That verse gets to me because I've always been like that in my heart. And she's like that in her heart. And it's love the unlovable. Not only love the bad people, it does mean love bad people, but that's not the only thing it means. It means, I don't know you might not love me, but I love you. Man, and we know this already because then there's Revelations and all this, but it's like, how do you fix the world? Right here. I want to read the whole thing. I don't know how much time we have. That's why I intended it. I knew I'd start rambling, man.
Maybe so is a good 12, right?
Let me get to. So all these things I'm saying, you can tell us we've grown, right? who we are. And we came up with our name. We became something, a nonprofit with a name, and it's the word agape is in it. And if there's one thing for now, White Oak and Keysport know the word agape. They might not know what it means. Many people know what it means, but they know that word now. And somebody has asked, what's that word mean? Somebody had to, right? And I wish they'd asked me, because I heard a teaching on it. And when I heard the teaching, this goes with a lot of things I learned. Whether it's a revelation or someone teaches it to me, I'm the only one that learned this in the whole world. And everyone needs to know, even though I hate speaking to people. But, so agape, I'll try to do it quick. Agape is a Greek word for love, right? It's simple. But we read the English version of the Bible. And the original New Testament was written in Greek. So when you're reading something, we read just the word love. Every single time in our English Bible, if it has to do with anything to do with love, it's love. And we look at, I say it all the same no matter what. I love my truck. I love my wife. I love cooking steaks, my dogs. I don't love my truck like I love her. And I'm not crying about my truck. I love my truck. But, so the Greeks broke words down. And throughout the Bible, they use different ones. And I hope I pronounced them right. I heard them taught. This is just how I learned them, how they was taught, they were said. I spelled them how I pronounce them. but there's the word strakeo, and it kind of looks like storage, but that's family love. We love our family. We all the worst criminal on our earth. They love their mom. You can go to a jail and see mom tattoos everywhere. It's family love. As long as you're family, I love you. And then there's phileo, is brotherly love, which is like kind of the Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And that's like a friend. That's when you love people that will help you out and they're your buddy and all that. And then there's eros, which is not in the Bible. And that's more of like you kind of know what that's where you get the word erotic. But then there's agape. And it's a whole other thing. And then when I learned this, I was like, whoa. And I got it. It's unconditional. And instead of rambling on, which I could do for forever, I'm sorry. I just want to read. I'm just going to read the whole thing, not just start my favorite part. I'll try not to cry. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who spitefully use you. To him who strikes you on one cheek, offer the other. I'll try to. When they take away your cloak, offer your tunic. Give to everyone who asks of you, and from him who takes away your goods, do not let him pass back. And just as you want them to do to you, you also do to them likewise. Man, I just wish the whole world would get this. Like this, I feel like if you just took this part of the Bible, you fulfill the whole entire thing. But if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. It's easy to love those that love you. It's not easy to love people you don't know. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you hope to receive back, what credit is that to you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. We like to do things for people maybe as long as you did something for me. You know, or what if we do things for each other, maybe you stop doing things for me. And sometimes we're going to stop too. But love your enemies, do good and lend, hoping for nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he is kind. This is agape. He is kind to the unthankful and evil. Therefore, be merciful, just as your Father also is merciful. So all that is be merciful. That's what merciful is. And it's unconditional. And that's how God loves you. And that's why no matter what you do, he can forgive you. He knows what's in there. It's not up to me and you to debate, hey, look, this is how this guy feels and what he thinks, which doctrine he does, you know, whether chosen's like this and chosen's like that, and it's what's in his heart. Only God knows it. None of us know what's in his heart. And that's why you judge not, because I don't know your story. I don't. And you shall not be judged. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. These are all things how he agape. And it's all laid out right here. And this is how you fix the world. Right here. Try to cut it up, keep going. And that's when I heard, isn't it the greatest thing you've ever heard? It's hard to do. Now I know you're a Christian, so you kind of understand. I don't do all these things, you know, and you probably don't. But you want to, right? Because you love them, and it's in your heart, and it convicts you. And I want my Father to be proud of me. So the other examples of doing it our way is like if you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? That's like the family. That's just your credit. That's you loving just your family. As long as you're my family, there's people that sit in their house and won't talk to the rest of the world. Like they don't even have a friend or want friends. So they're sure as heck not going to help anybody. They don't want God don't do that. God so loved the world, the whole entire world. It doesn't mean the whole world's saved, but he gives everybody the opportunity. And so God even loves enemies. You don't know if they're going to change. You don't know. That's why we can't condemn anybody, because they might change tomorrow. Do good to those that do good to you. And that's kind of like filet that I feel like this all came to me last night. That's why I'm putting you through it, because I understand the teaching of the difference in the words. And then I was reading my favorite part, and I'm like, hey, these are examples. If you're doing it the way he says we did it, they're kind of examples of the other words. So phileo is kind of like when you love just your friends. And lend to those you hope to receive back. And that's kind of eros in a way. That's you expect something. You love them as long as you're getting something. You know, whether it's sexual or whatever it is. It makes, man, I feel like most of us, if you grew up incorrectly, maybe not a Christian, that's maybe the love you learned at first. I was married before, and the girl we were from high school, we dated, and I what it meant to be one. I said those words, and I loved her, and I meant it, forever, hopefully. And, but I feel like back then it was you married, and it was like, for better or worse, how worse? Maybe you should let me know how worse, but not with her. I understand what it means to be one. I know it's more than just a team. And so those three types of love, the strikeia, the phileo, and eros, those are how we do it. You don't need God to love like that. There's a world of good people that love each other. And they don't know God yet. And I feel like all loves come. You don't know where they're going to get to, but they're not saved. But they can love. They do love their kids a lot. And their friends, they love their friends. I've been like this. I was an alcoholic. I've 10 years never had a drop. And I've done a lot of. I was always a good guy, I think. I helped everybody. And everyone loved me, and I loved everyone. And that's where God has always been bringing me to Him. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you do need God, even for these other loves, to get to agape. See, I'm figuring it out as I go. I didn't want to bore you. I guess I must have went through everything without looking at it. I don't know how bored you were. So I'll say one more thing. And then I don't know what time it is, and it's up to you if we get goofy with the Greek. But I gave an interview. I want to say it was the mayor's assistant. She came to our house, and they were giving us an award or something for a magazine. She did the interview. And I don't like talking to one person about meat. I just don't want to be in front. But she asked me, I didn't know she was going to ask. She asked, we're doing all this. We were in our driveway packing things. That went on for months, right in my driveway. It was crazy. And she said, what's the purpose of doing this? Or why are you doing this? And my answer is, thankfully, God just popped her right out, because she said it, and I was a little nervous. I'm like, I don't want to say the wrong thing for this newspaper. But like I said, I've been a helper. I enjoyed helping. I knew people loved me because I helped them. But this help was different. What we're doing now feels like a purpose. All the other things in my life, I've won awards. I was in the military, you get these awards and all this. I played hockey. I still play hockey, believe it or not. None of those championships mean anything. I won a sporting title one time. It's pretty cool. That means nothing. It's not none of that was my purpose. And this feels like it's leading to my purpose. And that's where I learned about being chosen, and that you have a destiny. And I have a relationship with Christ. And I have a relationship with God now. He's making me do things whether I want to do them or not. And now I'm living out my destiny. It's not, I wanna be like, what's my destiny, God? Can you just show? Okay, Mike, here's your destiny. But it doesn't work that way. You don't determine your destiny. You discover the one that He has for you. So every day, I feel like we're doing our purpose. Thank you all so much for helping, and all these other people that keep coming to us because they want to help, and the people that are just checking us out, seeing what we're all about. Thank you to them too. You know, it's just, it brings our name out there, and I hope years from now we're still going to be here, and everyone will know who we are because of what we're doing. And it's, you know, you have your people see God in it. That's the most important thing. We're all supposed to represent God. And I just hope we'll always be doing that. I hope we'll always do it right. And who knows what it's going to turn into, man. I don't know. All these other places started somewhere, right? Do you think someone sat down and said, I am going to start this really big thing? And it turned into, I don't know. I don't know. Want me to shut up now? That's good. That's good. I have one more small story. Let's just say it first. Lord, thank you for putting me in the places you put me. When I'm done, I always appreciate it. Thank you. It's always been me and you in my eyes. And over the last couple of years, you showed me all these other people that know you too. And I know that's, you're putting me where you want me to be. And we all love you. Amen.
Thank you.
So one of the things, a quick story, and then I promise I'll stop. One of the things I struggle with, too, one is worship. But man, if you knew what goes on in my head, you would, if you were judging me, you'd be like, that dude's worshiping. But I can't, I don't always do what everyone else does. And praying is difficult for me. I pray every night myself. But like I get to these connection groups and stuff, and they're like, all right, like lead the prayer. And I'm like, whoa. I'm not good at it. So I was listening to teachings years ago, a couple years ago, and I play hockey late at night, and they were about prayer, and I was intentionally listening to them, and I'm like, how do you pray so easily in front of people, and for people, and with people, and how do I get like that? This is where God does it, you know? I'm driving through McKeesport, it's 1 o'clock at night, and I drove past the speedway down on 148, and it was freezing, like 5 degrees, and I was out of gas. And I'm like, should I get it now while I don't mind, or I'm heated up, I'm warm, or should I go home, make sure I remember in the morning or I'll be in trouble? So I turned around and went back to Speedway, and I'm pumping gas, and this dude's running at me. Hey! I'm like, I've had people they come in and ask you for money or something, well, you know, and he asked me for money. And he had medical bracelets on and stuff, and not a coat. And he had like gun tattoos on his face and stuff. And I had a few bucks. I had $4, I think. And I was like, here, you can have it. He's like, man, I gotta get down by the hospital. I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, it's cold. Like, I gotta walk all the way down by. I'm like, buddy, are you trying to tell me you want to ride to the hospital? Yeah. You know, I would recommend this to everybody at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I'm a big guy. Hopefully, you don't have like a gun on him. And we get in the car, and he's like, right away, are you a Christian? Now, I was just listening about the prayer. I've been doing this for a week, listening to these teachings. And I asked, like, what do you want from me? When are you going to figure this prayer thing out? God, you make me do all these other things, let's do this one. So the guy asked me if I'm a Christian. I'm like, yeah, I am. And I told him my quick testimony. I'm like, I used to drink, I did all this stuff, and I didn't believe. I still have my doubts, but I'm a believer. That's like we all have our doubts. And he said he was in jail. He shot somebody, and he I want to say someone touched his niece or younger niece, and he shot the guy in the face. He really didn't say if he killed him or not. I don't remember. But, and he told me his name when he got in the car. So we're driving, and I was kind of, what you call it, witnessing to him, or I've never turned anybody yet that I know of. People I'm working on, and it's like a step process. But I was telling him what I know, what I think. And he's like, you know what, man? My real name is, and he told me his real name. He's like, I didn't want to give you my real name, but this is my real name. And that's what he told me about his crime. He didn't say he escaped. I'm not sure if he did or not. I'm not sure what he was doing. He had to get back to the Keysport Hospital. But, so we drove, I'm listening about prayers. We drove talking about these things. I took him down by the Shop and Save. Comes back up around, come back towards McKeesport. And there's like a bar right there, and he dropped me off. He said, you don't have any more money? I'm like, nah, that's it, I'm sorry. All right. And he closed the door, and he whipped the door back open, and he's like, hey, can you pray for me? I like lost it, man. I'm like, I can't believe this. Because I knew it was happening already. And he jumped back in my car, and like put his head in my shoulder. I held his hand, and it was a real prayer. The worst prayer you've ever heard. I don't even remember what I said, but I was like, I closed the door, and it was probably awesome, but it was, oh, man, I don't even know what I just said. That was like, we're sinners, he's bad, I'm bad. All right, buddy, see you later. And he went, man. That's my story about prayer. I got 90. God just does these things to me all the time, man. I'll stop now.